So, how did I get into UX writing? What will the future of our discipline look like? Do I have a pet? And how do I deal with stakeholders that just don't get it? In this video right here, I will answer these and a lot of other questions because we are celebrating 5,000 followers on this channel with a fun and exciting Q&A session. So, let's do this. Hey everyone, my name is Kat and I teach people about writing and tech, and on this channel you will find everything that you need to know, especially about UX writing. So if you want to learn more about all of that, make sure to hit subscribe and ring the bell. So first of all, thank each and every one of you for building this community with me. 5,000 people is a huge number for me, and I'm so grateful to have you all here, and I hope that I can provide value to you with my videos right now and in the future. So as a 5,000 followers special, I decided to do a really fun Q&A session with you, and I ask you to send me your questions on Instagram. So if you don't already follow me there, make sure you do, because there's where I share tips and tricks and thoughts and also some behind the scenes content. Now, as you can see, I got all cozy. I've got your questions right here with me. So let's jump right into your questions because we have quite a few of them. And I put them together into kind of a logical order. And I also added timestamps in this video so you can skip to the questions that you think are most relevant to you. Okay, so let's start right at the beginning, because the first question is how I got interested in UX writing, because that person is a new follower. So just curious. Now, I studied cultural anthropology and communication sciences. I got my PhD in technology management and communications, and then I went out into the world and started working in corporate communications. So I basically worked on communication strategies and messaging, brand messaging, company messaging, etc. And then like a couple of years into the job, I started randomly working as a ghostwriter for a local UX UI agency as a side hustle, basically, just 5 hours per week. And back then I just wanted to find, kind of a practical job on the side, something where I could do some writing, basically. So that's what I did for a couple of months. And then the agency managers, the owners, the founders basically, asked me if I had ever heard of UX writing before and if I could see myself doing it for them. And I thought that sounded really, really cool. That was back in 2018. So we started doing some small client projects, and then 1 year later they asked me if I wanted to join full time and build a UX writing department with them. So that's exactly what I did, and I taught myself all the knowledge and skills and developed them throughout the years. And then in 2022 I started teaching this knowledge and skills online, and today I work for a small startup in the energy industry, and I built up my own UX writing teaching business with Write with Dr. Cat on the side. That's the whole story basically, and looking back, I actually wouldn't change a thing except for maybe negotiating a higher salary with the agency. Next question is, did you consider becoming a designer? My dear friend, if only you knew how bad of a visual designer I would be. I mean, I can think in concepts and structures and logic, but I have no sense of visual aesthetics whatsoever, like colors, shapes, fonts, whatever, okay? Even if I learned all the theory, it's just not within me. In case you don't know, my wonderful fiance is a designer, and he has a great sense of style, like choice of clothes, the furniture that he chooses for us. Like, for example, when he creates slides in Keynote, they look so awesome. And this serves as a very, very impressive comparison to my abilities. So no, I'm a writer, I'm a poet, a linguist. My tools are words and words only. So the next question is kind of related to that. It's, imagine you are not in the field of writing. What would you be doing? What are your other passions? Okay, two things are possible. Number one, since I moved to the south of Germany, close to the mountains, I'm an absolute outdoor girl. I used to grow up as a really indoorsy teenager, and I loved reading and writing. I was never really into sports or going outside, okay? But when I moved here, I started hiking, climbing, running, just exploring areas in the wild basically. And I also love learning about mountains, knowing about nature and glaciers and the forests and flowers, etc. Which is also why I was so excited to go to Iceland last year, because I learned a lot about geology and volcanoes there. So I might have become a geologist or maybe even a park ranger. And number two, my other passion is definitely art, especially Baroque and Rococo art like Caravaggio, Rubens, Rembrandt. So if I need to be in a safe space and I can't drive out into the mountains, I definitely go to my city's art gallery. And this is also my number one place that I need to visit in other cities. So I would probably try to become an art historian or a art restorer, or maybe even a museum tour guide or museum manager. Oh my God. Actually, every time I visit our art gallery here in Munich, I'm like, okay, maybe one day I will work here. Maybe one day. Imagine that would be your office. Imagine. I'm getting carried away. The next question is, congrats for hitting 5K. How can I elevate my skill level in UX and how to move from mid-level to senior? Yes. Big question, a huge problem in the UX writing education space from my point of view is that a lot is done to educate juniors, which is basically awesome because we need to break down the barriers of moving into this field, of entering the field. But there seems to be kind of a lack concerning mid-level and senior education. And unfortunately, every company has a different understanding of what they consider junior or mid-level or senior. But from my personal experience, and I've worked with a lot of companies, I would say when you are mid-level in UX writing, that means that you are good at practical tasks like content design, information hierarchy, taxonomy, maybe doing research, okay? So mastering these tasks and skills is pretty much what makes you mid-level. But to really become a senior expert in UX writing, a senior UX writer, in my opinion, you have to have a lot of soft skills as well and master them. And most of them have to do with taking responsibility, driving things proactively, managing processes, coordinating stakeholders, just taking over responsibility and taking an active part in driving your teams and company's progress, making sure that you and your team really reach the overarching company goals. So if you are now mid-level and you want to level up to senior, first, look at your company goals. They probably want to become more efficient, faster, get more leads, drive conversion, or increase revenue. Look at how you, in your specific role as a UX writer, can contribute to that, and then acquire the knowledge to do exactly that. For example, if your company wants to become more efficient, see if you have, for example, a good content system in place. If your company plans to enter international markets, see if you can optimize your copy documentation for localization and learn about these things, okay? Go out and learn these things like on the spot. Plus, take responsibility for pushing things, okay? And then while you do that, you will grow into that role and transition from mid-level to senior. A senior is basically a very organized, very collaborative, very responsible, professional, proactively problem-solving mid-level UX writer, okay? Does that make sense? Hope it helps. Okay, the next question is, since the UX writing space is evolving, what should new entrants be looking for? Okay, now let's first talk about how exactly the UX writing space is evolving, because there are a few things happening all at once. First of all, as the field grows older, things become more professional. There are more frameworks, more tools, more systems, more approaches, even more vocabulary that are used and that UX writers are supposed to know about and use. So when I started in 2018, those were good times, because back then there was pretty much nothing you needed to know, because there was nothing to know. So to enter the field today, it is not enough to just be a good writer. You have to do your homework, you have to know the theory, know the practice, everything, okay? At least a little bit. And I always tell you, please try my really short introduction to UX writing course, because that will already give you a lot of all the fundamentals that you need. So this is the overall evolvement of the field, but there are also little temporary shifts and trends. For example, like 5 to 3 years ago, it was probably a good idea to kind of niche down a little, okay? So be a UX writer with an additional specialization in accessibility or localization, etc. Today, I'd say you are probably more attractive to the job market if you are able to demonstrate flexibility and adaptability, because many companies cut down their writing positions, their writing capabilities. So you might also be required to keep an eye on SEO or do some copywriting. I know that's not cool, not great, but that's just how things are right now in 2025 when this video right here comes out. So to be honest, if you know my older videos, you know that I used to be very strict with accepting writing tasks from other writing disciplines. But to be very honest, currently, I feel like this is just a reality in many roles. So long answer short, know the frameworks, know the tools, the theory, etc. And then always demonstrate openness and willingness to learn and some adaptability. Next, we have a question that is closely related to that, and that is how to get noticed as an entry-level UX writer in a sea of senior-level UX job openings. Now, first of all, before I answer your question, I have to address the companies that advertise for senior UX jobs and senior UX jobs only. Companies, are you really sure you need a senior? Can you provide a good environment for a senior? Can you offer a fair salary to a senior? Offer growth opportunities for a senior? Are you willing and ready to stand their criticism for your processes? Or do you just want someone that doesn't have to learn new things? Because if so, you're looking for a senior for all the wrong reasons, and it will backfire when the seniors you hire become unhappy and worn down in your company. Okay, but that's that. So what I recommend for juniors is, first of all, as I said, do your homework, okay? Learn the theory of the craft and then show how you apply it in fictional cases. Take a big app, a big website, public service websites, whatever, or even your local restaurant website, and then put it in a case study and publish it on Medium. And then repeat the process all over again. That will do a lot of things for you. First, it will help you apply your knowledge in different contexts. Second, it will help you explain your writing decisions in a structured way. Third, it will get your name out there. And fourth, it will help you gain experience while you might still be working in another job while being on the job hunt for a UX writing position. And this might take a lot of pressure from your shoulders because you might need some patience here. Indeed, the job search for junior UX writers is pretty tough. Now, next is a very practical question. What are the available and affordable equipment to have at home to succeed in this role? I would definitely recommend a laptop first. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. Many work with a MacBook, but that's definitely not necessary. And then you can start with the free version of Essential Tools because it's more about software than hardware. And for this, get a free Figma account and watch some free tutorials on YouTube on how to use it. Get a free Miro account because that's also a tool that many companies use. Take a look at Google Sheets because many handle UX copy documentation with Google Sheets. And that's basically it. A mobile phone is also helpful because it lets you screenshot app screens to get inspiration, but that's really it. And when you work for a company, they should make that equipment available to you. If you want to try it for yourself, this is it, okay? There's no book you should have read, no nothing, okay? Just a laptop and some free software is fine for starting. Next we have, can you mentor me? I'm getting this a lot actually, and I have thought about offering mentorships for quite some time, but right now it's just not possible simply because I don't have the time to be a good and dedicated mentor. I'm currently working for a startup, as I said, and I'm also building my own UX writing teaching business, which is very, very time consuming. So unfortunately, I can't do it now, but that doesn't mean that I won't do it in the future. So I will let you guys know. Next question is, how can I improve my interview skills or English as not being a native of English? Please, tips. So first of all, shout out to all my non-native English speakers. I'm one as well, as you can probably tell. So I know what it takes to communicate professionally in a language that is not your native language. And it can be really exhausting and energy consuming trying to articulate your ideas in your second language in real time. So in the back and forth of a natural conversation. So first, please acknowledge that it's not easy and that no one right in their mind expects you to be flawless here. However, there are still some tips and tricks that might help you. First of all, if you prepare for an interview, write down a few key statements and try to remember them by heart because they will give you confidence and stability. They will be kind of the cornerstones of your narrative and you can build your interview answers around them. Second, speak slowly. So instead of trying to adjust to the speaking rate of native speakers, take your your time to find the right words to get your point across. Don't rush yourself, okay? Breathe. Third, very simple, practice. Think of questions that might be part of the interview and record yourself answering them. Then look at the recordings and see what you want to improve. What I would not recommend is going in unprepared or half prepared. I know it's kind of unfair, but we as non-native speakers might need to prepare a little more, okay? But this also gives us the opportunity to level up, because working in an international environment is also such a driver for growth. So go for it, you've got this. Next question is, what are the opportunities for Africans in this space? Okay, so first of all, I have to say, I know a lot about the UX industry in Europe, in Germany in particular, maybe in the US as well a little bit, but I'm not necessarily an expert for UX writing in African countries. But I can definitely point you to some experts and resources. The most important one is probably UX Writers Africa. I attended one of their conferences last year and it was so amazing, absolutely insightful, well organized, perfect. Also, definitely check out the work of Nada El Nadi. She is from Egypt and an absolute pioneer. She also wrote books. She is the founder of her own UX writing space. You just need to check her out, okay? But there are also a couple of Nigerian UX writers, some UX writers from Kenya that you need to check out, and I will put the names of these people in the description box below so you can follow them on LinkedIn. These experts talk about their job and the job opportunities in the local UX writing scene. Definitely make sure that you follow them, especially on LinkedIn. But as far as I can say, the tech industry in countries like Nigeria is growing steadily and surely. We see more and more experts coming from African countries. And for me, that's definitely a sign that the future for UX writing in many African countries is actually a bright one. So, next question. Another career question. Can someone just be a UX writer and sustain, or do we often also wear the content designer strategist hat? Now, there has been an ongoing discussion in the UX writing community on how UX writers do more than just writing, okay? We all know that. And therefore, we should, call ourselves content designers, not writers, etc. If you ask me, it all comes down to how you define content design and content strategy. But for me, there is no writing without strategy and no writing without content design, because content design is basically about where to put which kind of information. And that is something that we need to do in order to write text. Okay, so for me, writing, content design, and content strategy all go hand in hand anyway. And as you proceed to become a senior or even a lead UX writer, the strategic aspects of writing become more and more important. So for this one, I would say if you are a UX writer, you will probably always have to deal with aspects of content design and strategy as well. It's just part of the role, even if you only carry the title UX writer. Strategy and content design will still be a big part of it. So next question, UX writing and IA. I think the person talks about AI. What do you think? Is there a future? Well, throughout the next month, so the month of April 2025, my content will circle around this exact question. So for example, my Instagram posts, my monthly blog post, and my newsletter, and I will put the links to all of these resources in the description box as well. So I already conducted some research on this topic, and to be honest, the future of UX writing will be shaped by a lot of things, not only AI. And I wish we would put attention towards the other factors as well, so that we get an accurate picture of the future of our field. But in my opinion, in my informed opinion, there will be a future of UX writing, even if AI technology advances, even if companies think they can replace us by using AI tools. I think we will end up staying absolutely relevant, maybe with a little shift in our responsibilities, like there will probably be more brand management, more content design, more strategy, and less writing itself. But communicators, and we are communicators, have been relevant ever since. They were relevant 300 years ago, they are relevant today, and they will be relevant in 100 years in the future. So if we don't think of UX writers as writers, but as people who shape, oversee, and manage the communication between a digital product and its users, there will absolutely be a future. Yes. Next question. We're heading over to more practical aspects. What sort of metrics do you recommend to demonstrate our impact as UX writers? And I love this question because it is so relevant for the everyday work that we do. There are different metrics that you can use with different approaches. The first approach is technical analytics, like when you implement a tracking tool like Google Analytics to learn, for example, about the conversion rates of your links and buttons, or you can see heat maps to see where users spend the most time and which areas they never visit or scroll to, maybe because it's not relevant or because they can't find the content that they're looking for, or because the text is too long and people don't read it, whatever. And you could track that and then see how you can improve it. Then you improve it, you rewrite the copy and measure it again to show your impact. The second approach is analyzing existing metrics like error rates and support requests, like what do users contact customer support for, and can you reduce the number of those requests by providing more or better information on your website or in your app. Also, what is the App Store rating of your app? And does it improve after you've done a copy audit and rewrote the UX copy of your app? And the third approach is surveys. So for example, to measure whether or not your users perceive your brand voice as it is intended to be perceived, but also how they would rate the usability of your app in general. And this also includes the so-called Net Promoter Score, which basically just asks users whether or not they would recommend your website or apps to others. So these are very typical metrics, but please always keep in mind that if you want to track any of these metrics, please make sure that you have the before numbers, so before you write or rewrite the UX copy, and that you have the after numbers, so that you can compare those numbers to point out your specific impact. However, part of the truth is also that certain aspects of the impact that UX writing has cannot really be measured, like making your brand appear more professional or more trustworthy, or giving your product and company a better reputation in your industry. Those things are not easy to track or measure. Next question is, again, kind of a technical question, but we love that. I have been doing B2B writing, now I want to work directly with clients. Any tips? Good job. Thank you, first of all. Yes, there indeed are some differences from my experience. I've done both, and usually in a B2B relationship, a business client that hires a UX writer already has some basic knowledge about UX writing, simply because the buying process or the hiring process of those big companies is a lot more complex. So companies really need to know if the service they are requesting suits their needs. Also, it's usually a much more formal setting, and sometimes the business client already has some systems in place that you need to align with. So in B2B constellations, you are more likely to work with what's already there, systems, processes, tools, etc. And I would say when you work with clients directly, usually you are the one that needs to bring the systems and processes and the tools. Also, quite often it's a much more personal relationship, so there needs to be a lot of trust and probably more communication efforts on both ends. So you might want to invest a little more time and energy in creating trust with your client, showing them that you understood what they need and demonstrating that their needs are being taken care of. Also, please make sure that the other person, the client, really knows what UX writing is all about, because many, and I mean many, of the clients that I worked with initially thought that UX writing is just copywriting for apps and websites. So some of them were kind of disappointed that my copy was not funny or quirky enough for them. And also, from writer to writer, be very clear on your terms and conditions, like how many rounds of revision you want to include, would you like to be paid in advance, etc. Because big companies have processes on how and when to pay you. Many of these processes are automated, but in a direct client relationship, things can get a little messy. Big sister advice from writer to writer. Next question is, and this is one of my favorites, how can I feel proud of my work when stakeholders butt in and change it all the time? Yes, a big one, a big question, and you're definitely not alone. It's probably one of the most common struggles among UX writers or UXers in general. The problem with writing is everybody thinks they can do it So everybody has an opinion, right? Everybody would do it differently. So first, what helps here is define a clear process on who is allowed to give feedback at what stage of the process, because not everybody should be allowed to give you feedback at all stages. Also, get very clear on who has the final say in a writing decision. Is it you or your boss or the client? And once that is defined, make peace with it. If the rule is that the client can overrule all your writing decisions, then let go, okay? Let go and try to find acceptance. However, your question was, how can I feel proud of my work in these situations? The answer is, don't try to find approval or validation in your teammates, your clients, your bosses, your managers, your friends, your mama. These people have no clue about UX writing, okay? That's why you are there. If you want valid, worthy, valuable approval, show your work to us, okay? Other UX writers. We know the craft. And I promise, if other UX writers or UX professionals criticize you or critique you, it will be much easier for you to accept that feedback. It will feel more professional and more profound and also more constructive. So if you feel like you're not good enough, which I hope you don't feel, but if you do feel that way, engage in community discussions in Facebook groups, LinkedIn groups, meetups, wherever. Share your knowledge when someone has a question, or publish a case study on Medium and share it there. And I'm very sure that you will get complimented and praised, and at some point you will feel like your work is valuable and that you as a UX writer are valuable, which I'm absolutely sure that you are. But don't seek approval from people who have little to no idea of what your craft is about. You see, I've been there. Next question. What is your favorite process in UX writing? I work as a conversational designer and I love drafting the flows. So I basically have two favorite flows. The first one, of course, wouldn't everybody say that? The first one is, of course, the onboarding flow of any app or software application, like deciding when to mention which feature or how to describe it, in a brief way, how to get users excited but not push them, and, just make them excited for the product. Isn't that great? To get them start working with your actual product. That is the first one, definitely. And the second one is the checkout process. I know that many people think that checkout processes, like in online shops, are boring, but they don't have to be. It's actually, when you think about it, it's actually where you're about to make your user's dream come true, where you materialize their vision or fulfill their wishes. Like once I worked for an amazing big German sports car brand, and we were asked to design the checkout process of the car configurator. So that is the space where the users could put together and order their car. And I mean, put yourself in the position of the user. You are about to order your dream car, a 6-figure dream car. Maybe the car that you dreamed about as a child, like, mommy, daddy, when I make it, one day I will buy this car. Like, can you imagine the way this person feels when they move through the checkout process? But also, you're about to charge a credit card, for a deposit, or you're about to initiate a PayPal transfer or whatever. So you also have to be very trustworthy and clear in your communication. And finding the right balance between emotionality and formal transparency is an exciting challenge. So yeah, those two, onboarding and checkout. Next is a very personal question. I love that because we're slowly coming to an end. Please introduce your pets to us if you have any. I love animals. Yeah, me too. I love animals so much. I love all animals. And I would love to have pets around, but we just live right in the city in a very, cozy apartment, but also next to a park where there are actually a lot of wild animals like foxes. So this is not really the best place to keep a pet, but maybe I can show you a picture of my childhood dog. I grew up with him. His name was Kenny, and he was just the coolest, calmest, most lovable being ever. He's running free now. We lost him about 10 years ago, but I hope we will be reunited one day and have some play dates. So, last one. How does it feel being so incredibly awesome? Good. Actually, right now it feels very, very good. No, I'm just kidding. All joking aside, I get so many kind messages from you, so I just want to say thank you for being so kind and so lovely. Like through LinkedIn and Instagram, I connected with so many amazing people, and some of them have actually become friends, and I'm lucky enough to see them following their own amazing journey of reaching success in their field, in their lives. And this person is actually one of them. So big shout out to you, Corey. I'm so glad that we met and that we got to support each other on our journeys. And with these words, I would like to end this video. Thank you so much for participating in this Q&A. It was great fun to me, and I hope it was also fun and insightful for you. Thank you all for being such an amazing community. I hope I do you justice, and I hope I can be of value to you in the future. If you want more insights, make sure you check out writewithdrkat.com. Make sure you check out my Instagram, where I share free tips and tricks about UX writing in particular. And other than that, there is nothing left to say except for keep on writing, enjoy the process, and I hope to see you sometime soon.